If you are still buying watches like it is 2021, you are about to get punished. Median secondary prices for hype models collapsed by a brutal 33%. This is not just the economy. Here are 3 things you must hear. The real reason prices fell, the watches that are quietly staying strong, and why, and the trap most buyers will walk into in 2026 that almost nobody is talking about. Let us talk about the slump and whether the boom is actually over. Secondary market prices for trend-driven watches didn't just dip, they dropped off a cliff. The median resale price for the most hyped models fell about 33% from their 2022 peaks, slicing tens of thousands off values that once seemed unbreakable. Chrono24 and Watch Charts tracked a flood of listings as owners rushed to offload pieces that had been social media darlings only months earlier. Steel sports watches tied to influencer launches, rainbow dials, and limited edition collaborations saw the sharpest markdowns. Many of these watches lingered on resale platforms for months, with days to sell metrics doubling or even tripling compared to 2021. Meanwhile, retail prices at authorized dealers barely budged. Brands like Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet kept their official price lists steady and, in some cases, even pushed through quiet increases. Wait lists for certain models remained, but the frenzy at the door had cooled. The gap between what someone paid at retail and what they could get on the secondary market widened, leaving latecomers holding the bag. Not every segment took the same hit. Classic icons and established references weathered the storm far better than trend pieces. But the glut of overproduced, hype-driven watches exposed just how thin real demand could be once the music stopped. And with listing depth at all-time highs and liquidity drying up for anything with outlasting appeal, the slump revealed a harsh new reality for speculators. Now here's why this slump could last longer than people think. Speculation fueled the flip era, but when the easy money dried up, the mood changed fast. Flippers who once bragged about instant profits found themselves holding inventory for months, watching prices slip further by the week. One anonymous seller said he bought 10 trend pieces in 2021, convinced every TikTok spike meant another payday. By 2025, he was stuck, unable to sell half of them without taking a loss. The first domino was fading FOMO. Social media hype lost its bite as buyers realized not every limited drop was a ticket to easy gains. Forums and Discord channels that once coordinated mass flips turned quiet, replaced by threads about losses and regret. The illusion of endless liquidity, those days when anything would sell in hours, collapsed as buyers became cautious and the pool of easy money vanished. Style trends added fuel to the slowdown. The market shifted toward quiet luxury, understated classic designs replacing rainbow dials and oversized logos. Suddenly, the watches that screamed for attention looked out of place. Brands kept raising retail prices, but the appetite for flash had faded, leaving overproduced models stranded. Rising interest rates and economic jitters made buyers even more selective. The days of treating watches like quick-turn assets were over. Overproduction during the boom years only made things worse, flooding the market with pieces that nobody really wanted once the music stopped. The result? A market split in two, with only certain watches finding steady demand, and the rest left behind. A clear line now separates the watches collectors chase from those they avoid. On one side, icons and classic references have become the market's safe havens. These are the models that keep showing steady demand and quick sell-through, even as the broader secondary market drags. Watch Charts data from late 2025 shows median prices for these references not only holding their ground, but in some cases ticking up. Rolex and Patek Philippe icons, for example, posted small but real gains after the worst of the slump. Meanwhile, the other lane looks very different. Trend-driven and overproduced pieces, once pushed by influencers and boutique drops, are stuck in a rut. Their median prices continue to lag, and the gap between asking and selling prices keeps widening. Sell-through rates for these watches have dropped sharply, with some models taking months to move if they sell at all. Watch charts curves show icons and hype pieces pulling apart, and Chrono 24's listing depth for exposed models keeps climbing. The divergence is now visible on every major platform. Value is consolidating, and it is not by accident. Three categories are now winning in this market. First, icons, the watches people actually search for, like the Rolex Submariner or classic Patek Philippe references. These models have steady demand, quick sell-through, and a collector base that does not vanish when the hype fades. Second, timeless designs. Think three-hand dress watches or classic tool watches that have not changed much in decades. They do not chase trends or influencer collaborations, and that consistency pays off when buyers get picky. Third, brands with disciplined identity, houses that avoided the temptation to pump out endless limited editions or chase social media trends. Their core collections still move, even as the rest of the market slows. On the other side, three types are struggling. Hype-only watches, limited collaborations or influencer-driven drops with no real collector following, are getting stuck on resale platforms. Overpriced boutique releases, especially those launched at peak mania, now face thin demand and big markdowns. And then there are hard-to-sell pieces, complicated micro-brand limited editions that seemed exciting in the moment, but now sit unsold for months. The winners have lasting appeal and real demand. The losers relied on momentum that just is not coming back. Every serious buyer in 2026 needs a playbook. First, buy what you will actually wear. Comfort and style matter, and a watch that stays on your wrist builds real value over time. Second, liquidity matters. The consolidator collector who traded 10 hype pieces for 2 classic icons did not just cut losses, he ended up wearing his watches daily and could sell either in a week if needed. That is rule 2, always check liquidity. If a watch takes months to move on Chrono 24, think twice. Third, never assume retail price equals guaranteed value. The last cycle's bag holders learned that the hard way. For pre-owned purchases, demand a full set, box, papers, and a clean service history. A full set makes resale easier and credibility higher. Fifth, do not chase the last cycle's winners. What worked in 2021 will not rescue you now. Sixth, forget TikTok hype and start tracking real market indicators. Watch charts, median price trends, days to sell, and sell-through rates give you the real story. Chrono 24 listing depth and the spread between asking prices and sold prices show where liquidity is drying up. Are you buying in 2026 or waiting for better value? The easy money era is over. Quick flips and viral premiums have faded, replaced by a market that demands more from buyers and sellers alike. The boom, as it was known, defined by fast profits, hype cycles, and a rush to outbid the next person, is finished. That does not mean the watch market is dead. It is normalizing, concentrating around quality, and rewarding those who pay attention. The collector scene is still alive, maybe even healthier, just less forgiving of shortcuts and speculation. Today, value comes from wearability, brand credibility, and real demand, not from chasing last year's trends. The rules have changed, flipping is out, selectivity is in. The question now is not whether the market will ever go back. It is who will adapt and who will get caught chasing a playbook that no longer works. If consumer caution stays high, expect even more money to flow into the safest bets. Icons and timeless designs will keep pulling ahead, while trend-driven watches get left behind. If market indexes like watch charts keep showing stabilization or selective gains, the recovery will be narrow and focused. Only the most sought-after references will see real upside. But if retail prices keep climbing while secondary values stay flat, the risk of buyers overpaying at the boutique grows. That is when frustration sets in, and the backlash hits hardest. The next phase of this market will reward those who watch the data and think for themselves. Comment your budget and wrist size, and I will suggest 3 watches that fit the new rules of the game. Today, hype gives way to caution. Buyers now shape the market, not flippers. As pre-owned sales surge and icons hold strong, the real risk is mistaking nostalgia for value. The rules have changed, but regret remains expensive. Your next move matters more than ever. Share your thoughts below.